Hello, this is Keith All, and welcome to another tutorial using Excel 365. Today we're going to be talking about the average if-s function. And the difference between the average if-s and the other function called average if is the average if-s function allows you to average something based upon multiple criteria. But you could also use just one criteria. And the average if function only allows you to add one criteria to average something on. So our data set is comprised of company names, and they reside in certain states and certain industries, and we have the revenue for that particular company. And in this tutorial, we're going to use the average if-s function based upon the state we select and the industry that we select. And of course, you could add other criteria, but we're only going to focus on two criteria for this tutorial. And what we want to do is we want to get an average revenue amount based upon the state and industry combined together. So our first selection will be based on state of California and within the advertising and marketing industry. So if the company operates in California and the company revenue is based upon advertising and marketing, we want to average that revenue. So let's go to the cell and let's build this formula together. Equal average if-s, tab over. The first argument is going to be the average range. And what this means is, what are we trying to average? In this case, we want to get an average amount of revenue. So we're going to select a column, the revenue amount, Control Shift down arrow to select everything in our data set, and then Control backspace to let's go back up, comma. That gives us the next argument, which is criteria range 1. In this case, what do we want to average revenue for? Our first criteria is going to be based on the state. So the range for that is, where are we going to find the state that we select? In this case, it's going to be the state column. So it's Control Shift down arrow to select everything, Control backspace, comma. Now let's go over to the next argument, which is the criteria 1. So based upon this range that we just selected, what is the criteria? We want to filter down to whatever state that we select here. So I'm going to select this cell right here, and then comma. Now the criteria range 2, what are we going to base the average amount of revenue on? First, it's going to be the state. Now we're going to average based upon the industry that we select. So we want to find the industry column, Control Shift down arrow, Control backspace, comma. Criteria 2 is the next argument, and then based upon this range that we just selected, we're going to select the industry here. And this cell that we just selected has the industry that we want to average for, and it's going to be found within this range. Now we're going to close out the function, press enter. That gives us an amount of $20,732,584. So now what do we want to do? We want to be able to verify this amount to see if we built this average if-s function correctly. And the way to do that is to be able to use filters on your data set. Right now I have filters turned on, and the shortcut key for that is Control Shift L and Control Shift L again. That turns it on and off. That's a simple way to get the filters on. So basically now what we can do is we can filter the data based upon California and the industry. So let's filter down first by state, since we selected California. Deselect, select all, and find California. Click OK. Now we want to filter down by industry. So we come here, filter, deselect, select all, and we want advertising and marketing. Okay, now that filters our data set. Now let's select the revenue column, select all the cells, and now if you look down here on your status bar in Excel, it gives you an average of 20,732,584. So let's see if that number matches with our function. Control backspace, and it does, 20,732,584. Now let's make another selection. Let's clear the state. We could do this first. Oh, let's randomly select a state. So we could do Idaho, for instance. Let's do Idaho. Deselect, select all, select Idaho, click OK. And now let's come up here and select Idaho. And now the average equals this amount only because there's one item in this data set that both equals Idaho and advertising and marketing. And that's why the average revenue equals that, because there's only one item selected. But you could go through this data set, whatever data set that you have, and you can play around with this just to make sure that this function is working correctly. And again, the way to do that is by putting filters on your data set and selecting the right items so it comes up with your revenue and your average amount. I want to thank you for stopping by today. Hopefully this cleared up some your concerns about the AVERAGEIFS function, and I gave you some other tips about on filtering and putting filters on your data set through multiple different ways, either through the data ribbon or shortcut key, which is Control-Shift-L. Thank you again for stopping by. I look forward to the next video that I make for all you guys, and thank you for supporting my channel. Bye now.